Thank you, Timothy Yusuf, for that in-depth reportage. Thank you for that. And seated here in the studio with us is Dr. Musa Adamu Aliu, SAN. He's chairman, ICPC. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning.
It's your first time here.
That's true.
Welcome. And we also have Hamzat Lawan, a regular Chief Executive, Connected Development Code. Thank you for coming.
No, thank you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's start with the chairman of the ICPC now. I mean, we've heard of ICPC, we know of EFCC as well. All these are anti-corruption agencies. Now, what can you just explain to us, just like, because the viewers will want to know, the policy trust of ICPC? I mean, what is the objectives of ICPC?
So, the objective of my policy trust is that to have an agency with good culture of law enforcement background, and also a commission which is accountable, responsible and efficient in discharging its responsibility. And we build this policy trust looking at what ICPC has done previously, consolidate such things, and also we try to see how we can improve in it. Because as you know that ICPC as a law enforcement agency, the most important thing which we need to have is that to ensure that we comply with the rule of law, accountability, and also efficient in discharging our responsibility. That's why when we are doing our own strategic action plan, we build in the policy trust, which we have about 5 key strategic objectives. And those key objectives are in line with national anti-corruption strategy, which is now issue of prevention of corruption, and secondly the issue of public enlightenment around corruption, and also to ensure that the issue of law sanction and enforcement, and also we move in to ensure that we recover proceeds of crime and corruption in order to have resources that we can use in building infrastructure in this country. So in summary, this is what our policy trust is, and together with our own strategic action plan.
Okay. Now, over the years, the ICPC has gone through so many phases, and can you tell us what has been the impact of ICPC and how effective has these approaches that you mentioned to preventive mechanism of fighting corruption in Nigeria?
Yes, ICPC has made significant impact from its inception in 2000 to date. When you look at it, one key area where ICPC has done very well is the area of prevention, especially the issue of constituency executive project tracking, where Hamza is one of the people that have been in that area. Because one major problem with corruption is that you need to prevent it before it happens. Because when it happens, it will be difficult for you to remedy it. So if you look at the issue of constituency executive project tracking, it's an area whereby ICPC move in to ensure that projects in the budget are executed the way they are supposed to. Instead of allowing infractions to happen, we move in to track the project to ensure that they have been done the way they are supposed to. Where there are issues, either the project were not done the way they're supposed to, we ensure that we force the contractors to go back. Where there are diversion of public funds, we recover them, and also to charge those who commit crime in court, so that at least they will be punished. So this area we set a lot of money for government from 2000 to date. Recently, like the 6 tracking, ICPC track about 1,721 projects. Recently, we are tracking about 1,500. When you look at the volume of the money, it's close to 600 billion. And these are projects that has to do with the people, because area of education, healthcare, water resources, empowerment, because these are areas where it has great impact to the lives of people. So that is why we focus on that, to ensure that we don't allow government money to be wasted or to be diverted. We ensure that people get value for money.
Okay, can you share with us some notable cases where ICPC has made, significant impact, in their fight against corruption?
Yes, there are cases that ICPC had made impact against corruption, whereby I can give you an example. Recently, there is a matter whereby we charged a public officer who was accused of issue involving about $65 million US. This is a huge amount of money of a project that's supposed to be done, and it was not done. And also recently, just about 2 weeks ago, there's also another area whereby we charge people that the total amount of money is about over 2.8 billion in an area of education, whereby there are things that are supposed to be done, but they were not done. So we charge. And there are other. And recently I know that there is even a former member of House of Race who were charged because of this issue of constancy project, and he is standing trial. So there are many cases whereby I know that ICPC has filed in court. And also one area where we have been doing well is that we ensure that we support youth, because one problem I discovered is that most of the victims of job racketeering are youth. And like I said somewhere else, that we have even noticed some agencies that their staff are involved in this issue of job racketeering. And by we secure conviction last 2 weeks, whereby one of the staff of one of the agencies was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment. And also we are moving forward to ensure that we ensure that maximum sanction is being imposed in those areas where the people of that agency, like I said, we have already noticed, we have even a bar chart whereby we have been tracking, because I can tell you almost on every day you will have 1 or 2 cases coming from those places that are collecting people money from youth in order to give them employment, which they know that is corruption, is bribery. You're not supposed to do that, but they have been used. So we are moving to ensure that we don't allow youth to be cheated, we don't allow our youth to be corrupted, because by engaging in such thing, you are now showing our youth that bribery and corruption is the way forward, which is not what is supposed to be done. This is an area where we have been doing that. And also there are also area of sexual harassment in tertiary institutions. This is an area where we have been following it up. We recently charged a professor who is standing trial in court before that. If you can remember, a few years ago, there was a professor who was convicted of this kind of thing, and we have been moving to ensure that we don't allow our education sector to be corrupted by those kind of people. And also the area of falsification of records. There are also some public officers that we charge to court because we discover this problem is happening. There is a particular agency where we have discovered a lot of this problem, because it was even from the agency, the head of the agency sent to us. And when we started investigating, we discovered that there are many people in that agency that are using falsified documents to even get promotion and also to continue to work in that sector. So these are areas that we have been trying to see that we have done well, and we will continue to ensure that we do our best.
Yes, indeed, you've raised some critical issues here, and addressing them is crucial for the IPC to strengthen the corruption crusade and effectively combat corruption in Nigeria. And you've talked about recovery of funds.
Yes.
Let's talk about how does the ICPC monitor these recovered funds when it's given back to government? Do you monitor the spending or how it's done?
Yeah, you know, the Proceeds of Crime Act has already stipulated what we can do. When we recover the proceeds of crime, we just remit it to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, whereby the government will use it to do infrastructure. The only thing we can do after we remit it, we follow to ensure that the money is not being taken back where we recovered it. And to be fair, we have never experienced whereby those proceeds of crime were diverted again. There was never a time, to the best of my knowledge, where we discovered something. Because
I asked you this question because when the international community refunds money stolen from Nigeria back to our coffers here, they monitor how it's spent and areas it's supposed to be spent, because we know that corruption is a hydra-headed, monster that you just can't seem to grasp which of the head you want to cut off. So it's how difficult is it because you say you don't follow up, but monitoring is key to ensuring that these funds are utilized judiciously, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. Because like I said, that this is the money that when you recover, you remit it back to Consolidated Revenue Fund, and there are a lot of funds there. So the monitoring we are doing is the entire fund, the one with remit and the one that is already there, we track to ensure that the money are not diverted. And if you look at it, some of the recovered funds that we the anti-corruption agencies, not only even the ICPC, when we recover that, you see that some of them are being channeled to some of the developmental projects that is being done in this country. So we ensure that we follow it up to see that the money is not diverted to the best of our ability. That's what we have been doing.
Okay, let me ask you this question, because you mentioned some of the high-profile, successes that you have recorded. But what measures? What's the yardstick, for measuring your performance? And in the sense that some people have actually argued that ICPC has not been able to be effective in prosecuting high-profile, corruption cases.
Now, when you look at the measure of corruption, it's not only prosecution of high-profile cases that you used to measure, because you measure corruption basically in three areas. One, there is issue of public education and enlightenment, because you need to talk to people, because this corruption is not an issue of going to court. Then secondly, you have to look at the recovery you have been making, what kind of things you have recovered, and also the area of prevention. What are things you have done in order to block this kind of problem that's happening? And one thing which people fail to appreciate is that, take a look at statistics of the entire fight against corruption from 2000 to date. If you look at the number of convictions secured by all anti-corruption agencies, you will see that those high-profile cases that people are talking are very, very insignificant. They're not much. Why? Because when you look at this issue of prosecution, it takes a lot of time, because one, you start from trial court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. The first case which the Supreme Court confirmed conviction, it was ICPC case that involved a former member of House of Reps. It took many years, because before you reach Supreme Court, it was minimum of 10 years. So that is why, if you take the statistics, you will see that most of the cases that the anti-corruption agencies secure conviction are not those big cases that people are saying. If you look at it, there are cases that involve easy. Because the reason why I'm saying this thing, because like I said, that it's hardly will you find those high-profile cases that will end at the trial court.
So are you saying the judicial process itself is a challenge to prosecution for the ICPC?
This is a truth, that judicial process in this country is a challenge, not only for ICPC, for all justice sector actors. Because when you look at what is happening within the justice sector, you will know that there are challenges. One issue I keep on seeing is that, which all of us in the justice sector we've agreed, that now in Nigeria it's difficult for you even to find certainty in law, because sometimes there are so many confusion, there are contradictory decisions, which even the judiciary has acknowledged that there is challenge around that area. And also our colleagues too, the lawyers, when you find out, sometimes they bring all kind of application to delay the process. So that is why you discover that all the agencies that are prosecuting cases, not only anti-corruption agencies, even other agencies, that they are facing this kind of challenge, because the system is designed in such a way that it is very difficult for you to have smooth prosecution and secure conviction. Let me give you an example. In the electoral process previously, election dispute, there was this kind of challenge. But later, there was amendment of constitution where a timeline was put that you must finish all election dispute within 6 months, 180 days. That has bring a lot of progress to the area. That is what I think we need to do in corruption cases, that we need to put timeline. And also, I'm not saying that it's only the judiciary. To be frank, even we and corruption agents, sometimes the investigation, some of them are not thorough. That's why when you go, you see that sometimes we file huge number of count charges, and also keep on amending and patching our cases. This is also another challenge, which it's posed to the issue of the fight against corruption. And that's the area where we are looking at it to ensure that before we file a case in court, we must ensure that we do a thorough job. And also one thing I want to appeal to Nigerians, they should appreciate that corruption cases are complex. They need thorough investigation. When you look at other crimes, one case may take them 5-6 years before they finish investigation. They will not even call you. They will be gathering the evidence, the facts and the evidence before they will invite you. Once they invite you, they know that they have thorough case. But in Nigeria, because of the pressure of public, maybe that's why sometimes they rush to court and also time waste. During my time, I promise that no, we are not going to be doing that. We will ensure that no matter what, we must do a thorough investigation, even if it's going to take time. It doesn't mean that it must be done under my watch. If we do thorough investigation, once we invite you, we show you the facts and evidence, you will just open up. There are examples which we did recently, whereby we gather all our facts and evidence, and we confronted the suspect. They admitted that yes, that is true, because we had all the evidence. And another challenge which we need to look at is that there is this issue of whistleblower bill that is pending for National Assembly. We need to pass it, because if you pass that bill into law, people will come up with information. They know they have protection, so that will give us that a lot of information credible that you can use to file the charges which people feel like that the only way to find corruption is by filing charges against high profile people or politically exposed person. So I think, like you said, that judicial process is quite a challenge to the fight against corruption.
Yes, I've mentioned some of the challenges that ICPC, face in the course of doing their work, carrying out their duties. So I just want to, just like a follow-up question to that, how does ICPC maintain its independence and autonomy in the face of political pressure, or interference from other branches of government?
Yeah, we try as much as possible. For me, as the chairman of ICPC, I try whatever I do it fairly. And as well, I keep on saying, you cannot lead an anti-corruption agency without having three things. You must have knowledge. And secondly, you must be courageous. And thirdly, you must have integrity. Once you have these three things, that will be able to give you you can be able to maintain that independence. But once you lack either of these three things, it will be difficult for you, even if the independence is given to you. Let's say that you, because of lack of this thing. So at ICPC, we try as much as possible to do what is right, and also to stand by what we believe is right. But also the pressure is not only from political. That's one thing, because even Nigerians, they keep on putting pressure, not only on corporate, even the public officers. I keep on saying it. Our culture is our problem, because there are a lot of things that have been happening that those of us at the helm of public office will tell you. Family, friends, people will look at you that, please, chairman, you can do this and that, you can do, and when you resist, people will look at you that you are a difficult person, you're awkward, it's like you are from moon. This is something that we keep on insisting, no, things must be done the way they're supposed to be. So that's why Nigerians should understand that they should give their own contribution, because it's not only, like I say, it's not only from political pressure, because there are pressure also from the society, that you see even people encouraging those who engage in corruption because they are one of their own. They will feel like, why are you following this? Is it because he's not from your tribe, from your region, from your geographical area? All these are things that are putting pressure on the anti-corruption agencies. So it's not only the political pressure that is also a challenge for us in anti-corruption agencies.
Okay, let's bring in Hamza now. I mean, you have been listening to our conversation with the chairman. Just give us your perspective of ICPC since its creation in 2000.
Interesting. I think ICPC has a positive perception. Nigerians do not see them as a media frenzy, media trial, anti-corruption agency. And I say this with every sense of authority. I know that when I even speak to my colleagues in the anti-corruption space, we would prefer to send petition to ICPC than other anti-corruption agencies because
Why?
one, they would acknowledge. Two, they will invite you to bring evidence and to also adopt your petition. Three, they will investigate. And when they investigate, they carry you along. When I started Follow the Money in 2012, I remember that time as it was about lead poisoning, where the government released $5.3 million and then we followed the money. There was in 2014 there was the 9.2 billion naira clean cook stove money. A lot of people have forgotten when the government at that time said they wanted to buy stoves and wonder bags to distribute to rural women. So I was the guy that went to the 6th geopolitical zone. When I was talking to rural women, are you aware? Are you informed? Would you use it? Because a lot of time again for us it's not just about allocating and releasing public resources. It's about collecting feedback. As citizens are in need of those public utilities. So they say yes, they would use it, but they were not informed, they were not aware. And this is most of the cases. So a lot of time people hear on TV and radio, government is bringing billions. But then they keep waiting. Where is this money? When will it get to our community? So I came back to Abuja, this stakeholders meeting. I invited all the anti-corruption agents, but the ICPC showed up in our town hall meeting. And then we did an undercover investigation. For the first time, ICPC took me undercover for investigation. There was a couple of ICPC officials. There was a journalist from, that was Daily Trust. And then I from civil society.
Okay.
And my role was to observe, and just be part of the team. And it was really intriguing. For the first time, anti-corruption agencies carrying, a civil society citizen activist to come and watch how they do investigation. And it was a thorough investigation. They recovered over 5 billion out of the 9.2 billion. I know 3 people were prosecuted and they got judgment. Some of them have finished having their jail time. Now let's even come down to constituency project tracking. Because we got support from Makato Foundation under their own Nigerian program. And ICPC is also part of, this joint cohort where we've shared, we've shared ideas, but most importantly, we've done joint tracking on constituency projects. In cases where we found that corruption were being, mad, we wrote ICPC. They investigated the case. They recovered a lot of resources. So I think that, and I think again because of the new leadership, we've also seen some reform and changes, even if it's just 1 year.
In the ICPC?
Yes, and it talks about also the person. Because you see a lot of time, yes, institutions...
What are these reforms that you're talking about?
So first is now we're seeing more civil society engagement, and I know the chairman signed a couple of MOUs with other civil society. So it's not just about collaborating with Hamzat and Follow the Money or Connected Development, but we're seeing also expansion. I remember when we do our town hall meetings, even at the regional level, because he has regional officers that man the region, they come for these meetings. And you see, he talked about prevention. I'll tell you how this has helped us. So when we're following the money, we always engage stakeholders and bring them for town hall meetings. We invite anti-corruption agencies, not because there's corruption, but because it sends a signal to the contractor, to the politician, or the House of Rep member, if it's a constituency project, that see, ICPC is a member of this stakeholder, so it means that they are watching how you use the resources. And it gives confidence also to the public that are meant to use it. And in most cases, other cases, citizens will start reporting, even on the spot, that, oh, there's another case. And then, we see the official say, okay, let's finish our meeting, and then we can collect, your interview and then gather evidence and help you prosecute. So we're seeing this reform, we're seeing these changes. Recently, the ICPC put together an event for youth and women. Now, a lot of time when we talk about corruption, the biggest people that are affected are young people, are women. If you look at it, you don't have primary health care centers. You have increased maternal mortality and newborn. You talked about job racketeering, unemployment rate, access to enjoying the dividends of democracy. So women and youth. And so if we had a society where we don't have corruption, there will be no need for the protests that almost brought us down to our knees. So again, I'm excited about the the element around prevention, education, because again,
public awareness,
public awareness. ICPC always invite us during NYC orientation. We're part of their resource persons. They have secondary school and university clubs. We're part of the resource persons, building more of these clubs, but expanding them to ensure civic knowledge, civic education, so that citizens understand their roles and responsibility to tackle corruption. Hopefully, we can have behavioral change in the near future where people change the culture, because again, we have a culture of corruption. you know, we have to tell ourselves the truth. There's a culture embedded in our society that allows corruption to strive. So again, for me, it's about that new leadership, that reform, and hopefully Nigerian people can support them.
Indeed, you know, when he was talking about, you know, the three key areas of knowledge, courage, and integrity, the one that stood out for me is courage. You got to have courage to be able to run an, you know, an agency like the ICPC. I'm still going to say with you, you said you were able to go out to the local government areas to be able to talk to women and raise awareness on the money that has been given, following the money. Now there's a new challenge out there, and that is the local government autonomy. And when they start getting their money, how are you going to track it?
Yeah, I don't think it's a challenge. I think it's an opportunity. So just before the president ascended to the, so you know, first it started with, you know, this agency, NFIU. They came up with a policy. The governors fought them. In short, the governors took them to court. I remember we had a confrontation even with the former chair of the governors forum, you know, because they want to hold on to local government. And we had a stakeholders meeting, because I brought all the speakers from the state assembly, and I brought a few local government chairmen. I said, okay, which want this to pass? All of them behind closed doors, they want it. They want their independence, because a lot of them, there's pressure from citizens say, you are a local government chairman, and you know, people only have access to their councillors and chairmen. You know, you can't access your governor. And then yet the chairmen do not have powers. And let me even tell you the reality. They give them allocation, but they sign that they've collected money, but they've not collected the money actually. And you know, our governors have autonomy. So they say they want this autonomy, and you know, we must commend the president because it's bold.
Yes, of course.
We saw what happened with the governors. They also fought it.
That's courage.
But it is here. Now there's a capacity gap. And hopefully we can work with the ICPC to curb that prevention, because you know, it's about prevention. A lot of local government do not have payroll system. A lot of them do not have the capacity to manage these resources. And you know, it's evident. And I asked them, and they told me, you know, yeah, before now the state government pays on our behalf. But now that this money will come to our account, we don't have a system. We don't have a financial system. There's no clear evidence around payroll and all of this. But then also, interestingly, is I know NFIU and ICPC has said with their policy, you can only withdraw less than 500,000. Anything above 500,000 must be wire. Meaning they would have trails, money trails, and
can be tracked.
Yes, so it can be tracked and monitored. So if you try to divert it, then they come in. And of course, the chairmen do not have immunity.
Yes.
So they're on their toes, and that's why they're insisting, give us our account, give us our money. And they know that the law will catch up with them when they try to divert it. So it's exciting.
Well, okay, Chairman, let me just ask you this question, because I know that it's not easy when you want to fight corruption. The corruption will fight back.
That's true.
Now, give us an example of a case where corruption fights back when you're fighting corruption, because there was this conference or workshop I attended about 2 weeks ago, and one of your persons from ICPC came and gave us some scenarios of, you know, what is happening there, how ICPC fights corruption, and the people who just, you know, because they have the muscle, they have the resources to fight back. Give us some scenarios.
Yeah, that is true. But for 1 year I spent as ICPC chairman, I can see up to now that it didn't fight back here. But you know, I was Attorney General of Jigawa State for about 4.5 years.
Okay.
I have seen how corruption really fights back, because I was there are many issues that I blocked where I was there, and I know what happened, because I had a lot of pressure, and also those who feel like you are trying to stop what we are doing, and it went to the extent that I was Attorney General, but I was taken to the Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee, that because I said that there are certain things that has been done, I will not allow it to happen. And it took a lot of pressure on me, because I know how, and to tell you the truth, there are people in this country that, in fact, they can brag to tell you that they can do and undo. I have seen that, because of those things who I block what they are doing. They told me, look, AG, we are going to deal with you. And I told them, look, you can do whatever you want to do. It took me from 2020 up to 2023. Up to 2023, I was battling with that. When I applied for SAN, they wrote petitions against me. saying things that are not true. But I told them, look, you can do whatever you want to do. But I ensure that I blocked. One area whereby I faced resistance was in insisting on meritocracy. Because I have seen how people that are incompetent have been promoted in the area of justice sector. That's why I say, no, we can't allow it. So this is whereby people feel like they can do and undo, and they can use their resources to blackmail you, to put, because there were a lot of publication against me in the media. And unfortunately, even the media, instead of to ask me, let me give my own version of the story, they didn't. They just go to the press and saying that I did so and so, which is not true. So like I said, that is true, that when you fight corruption, it will fight back. And for me, I am ready for it, because I know that this is something that I am in it, and I believe in God. I know that our Creator will not allow evil to thrive in this country.
Do you have a mechanism to ensure that within your own ranks and file, that you address this issue of allegation of misconduct, or corruption by your staff?
Yes, there are rules and regulation internal which we are using to ensure that whenever there's allegation of corruption, we investigate. Whenever we find somebody who is culpable, we put him into the due process. Because about one problem is that I could recall there was an allegation against one of our staff. But when I asked the petitioner, please bring up the evidence, where he alleged that money was given. But he said that, Chairman, how do you expect me to bring evidence? I said, if you raise allegation, you must bring evidence. So I am calling on Nigerians, if there is any issue which you have, gather your facts, gather your evidence, bring it, we will look at it. But the main challenge is that sometimes people will raise allegation, or when you call them to bring up the evidence, then you will see that they will not show up. So because once there is allegation, we have mechanism to follow the due process to ensure that disciplinary processes are followed, so that those who are guilty are being punished appropriately.
Before we go to Hamza now, you talked about public trust and the whistleblower,
Yes.
act before the National Assembly, which you're advocating
Yes.
for them to sign. And let's talk about, apart from the public trust, let's talk about the interagency coordination between your other corruption agency in Nigeria. How do you coordinate investigations across board?
Yeah, when I come in as chairman, one thing I have been pushing, which if you go to the space you will see, that I ensure that I reach out to all the anti-corruption agencies and other security agencies so that we can work together. I have always reaching out to them when there are issues, when we need support, when they need support. I always reach out to them. Go and look at the record. I'm the first chairman of ICPC who visited EFCC. When I came in, I went there and we discussed so many things.
So there's no power struggle?
No. Because for me, I don't believe in power struggle. Why? Because I know, whether you like it or not, all the anti-corruption, they have their own strengths. There are areas where ICPC has strengths. You cannot take it up, out of there. There are areas whereby EFCC have their own strengths. There are areas whereby code of conduct. There are areas whereby NAPTIP, NDLEA. So no agency, like I said, or no individual can fight corruption alone. In fact, it's not even local issue. You even need international collaboration, because sometimes this person of crime, they are not even, hid here. They will take it abroad. So if you don't collaborate with even international organization and civil society, you will not be able to get it. There are so many things. One of the cases I mentioned you here, it was from the civil society that they say, look, Chairman, look at this thing. And when we look at it, we discover more than what they even told us. So that is why I always ensure that we reach out to all the anti-corruption agents and law enforcement so that we can work together. Because if we don't work together, we cannot fight this corruption. Because those who engage in corruption, they are united. So if we are not united, we cannot fight them. Okay. So that is why I ensure that every day, every time I reach out to my colleagues so that we can work together. I know that we had series of meetings with NFIU, CCB, EFCC, the police, and other agencies. We do that as civil society, because like I said, that you can't fight it alone, and you need this interagency collaboration, and also the international sphere. And one thing which is good for us.
How do you manage the overlapping functions between your agencies and other government agencies?
Yes, what we
like EFCC and police and all that.
What usually you do that when there are issues that has been taken to us, like petitions, we look at it. There are petitions we know that this is out of our mandate, so we refer it to the appropriate agencies, and all of the agencies they are doing that. You will see that EFCC, CCB, police, they are referring some complaint to us, and also we too we are referring complaint that we know that is not our mandate to them. And also where we discovered that, because sometimes you find out that while you are investigating a complaint, and also a sister organization also investigating. So if we discover that they have started investigation for us, so we just refer it to so that they will continue, so that we don't duplicate responsibility, because it's government's money. We don't waste government money. We don't also put pressure to people. So we ensure that we don't duplicate our responsibility.
You need to build public trust.
Yes, we need to build public trust, because the reason why that if people don't have trust in you, they will not come to you, they will not open up to you. And also this issue of fight against corruption, it's need trust, because trust is asset of an corruption agency and judiciary. Once there is no trust, then there will be no confidence.
Okay, building trust and confidence.
Yes.
Hamza, let's come to you now. I mean, because earlier on you talked about your engagement with ICPC and compared to other government agencies and all that. Do you think that ICPC is doing enough when it comes to engaging with the public to encourage them? I mean, the public reporting, the reporting of corruption and promote a culture of transparency and accountability. Do you think ICPC is doing enough?
I think they're doing enough, and I think we're not commending them as much as we should. And this is plain truth. And even from the events, the chairman recently gave a keynote by the independent reporting organ ICIR. It was evident that they were doing much more than what we even thought, and because of it's the law that established them, and a lot of time ICPC don't want to come public and tell, because of course when you're investigating you don't want to come public until you get a ruling. But I think by and large, one thing that we can use to also support them is to get the whistleblower bill passed. Why? Because, and I know that a couple of weeks ago there was a conference, this regional conference put together by my good friend Honora, and it's evident, and this is not just a Nigerian problem, it's a sub-regional problem. You must protect whistleblowers, you must protect people that are courageous and have come forward and want to work together with anti-corruption agencies to ensure that we recover resources. I know one thing ICPC is big at is asset recovery. I like the fact that he also talked about it's not just about recovering assets within the country. You see, it takes a lot. I remember in 2016, Nigeria signed the Open Government Partnership. I was in London with President Muhammadu Buhari, not on his delegation, of course, as civil society leader. We were in the same room in London, and I witnessed when he signed it. And I remember speaking to a couple of FBI officials, and there was this lady who was former FBI who said, she know where some of our assets are placed in the US and in the UK. I was stunned, and she showed me evidence, and she wanted to meet with the right people, to help Nigeria recover these resources. So if you don't have whistleblower protection law, if you are not collaborating with our partners and friends in the international community, we have billions of dollars of our resources that are, proceeds of corruption that have moved to offshore accounts, to islands, to what we call safe havens.
People are afraid because the syndicate is very, very powerful.
Like you said, they're united for corruption. So we have to be united against corruption, So it takes a lot, but we must have the legal and regulatory framework. We must have a justice reform that ensures that when a proper investigation thoroughly carried out and charges are brought forward, we should not keep these cases in court forever, because what it does, it erodes public trust, because you want public support, you want to continue to enjoy public trust, and because when you do that, public will continue to give you information and intelligence that you need to tackle corruption within and even outside the country.
Okay, thank you, Hamza. Let me come back to the chairman now. Yes. Civil society like you and people across board have been advocating for a special court to try corruption cases because they feel the normal court, the process is too long. But if there's a court specifically for corruption cases, do you think the corruption case will move faster now?
I think the issue of special court, yes, it may, but to me, is not the special court that we need. Okay. What we need is, one, we need to amend our laws to ensure that there is speedy trial. Two, we need technology. Because you can't, the way these traditional trials we are doing in court, it cannot take us anywhere. Because judges are proceeding in longhand. All these things, it is something of past. And also the issue of even securing witnesses. We insist what we have been doing since 1960s must continue now. Because we can't continue like that. I think if we amend our laws to ensure that the procedure, they are going to be speedy, and also we embrace technology. Even with the judges that we have now, they can be able to do it. But even if you have special courts, you don't amend the constitution to ensure that you put timeline, you don't use technology, then that will be difficult for you to do it, and it takes a lot of resources for us to be able to do it. And I think these are the two things that can help us to fasten the trial of corruption cases. And apart from that, I don't think that a special court will solve the problem.
Okay.
I agree. We must set timelines. Because you say you want us to create special courts. I'm for cost of governance. And we can't say we're reducing cost of governance and we're creating. Let's have timelines. Political cases or election cases. There's a timeline. Why can't we have corruption cases? Let's have a timeline. Because when you have a timeline, then everybody is on their toes. Today, the world is talking about artificial intelligence. When you go to courts in the US, the prescribers automatically, whatever you're saying is being documented, and prescribed, and then even analyzed. Why can't we have that in our court? When we have that, proceedings will be faster and it will be more transparent and accountable because, a lot of people are now calling for more judicial reform. We cannot do things the old way and expect different results. The world is moving very fast.
The laws are obsolete.
Oh, yes.
So are there reforms now? Are you proposing any reforms or amendments to existing laws that can actually, that could enhance ICPC's mandate and operations?
Yeah, we have been having discussions because, before you come in with issue of amendment, you need to have robust discussion with the judiciary, the National Assembly, the civil society, and the members of the public. Because these robust discussions is what will help you to push for amendment. But if you don't have this robust discussion around that, it will be difficult for you. Even if you go there, there will be outcry. People will feel like you are trying to, either bring some stumbling block to the process. So we have been having discussion now. Like this in which I said, last week I was, I delivered a lecture in Court of Appeal conference, and I advocate for this issue of technology. And I advocate for this issue of whistleblower, that we need to pass this thing. And also I advocate that even the legal profession, that we need to look at what is happening, because we lawyers too, we are contributing to all these issues. These are some of the stakeholders. As well, about 2 weeks ago I was NGI. We also raised the same issues there. That look, from our own angle, these are the challenges which we feel we need them. And also even the judges also raise their own. That look, you too, you have your own challenge that we are looking at you. And also there are also legal frameworks that need to be looked at so that they be amended so that to avoid all these issues. So we are having discussions with the critical stakeholder to ensure that some of the laws are amended so that they can be enhanced.
Actually, we talked about, experts talking about reforms and all that. All this cannot be possible without a good capacity training for your staff.
Yes.
So what's the level of training and training of staff?
Yeah, capacity building, I think we have been doing it. We have had a lot, because I know that apart from what the ICPC alone is doing, also there are a lot of collaboration with civil society, whereby we have capacity building around area of investigation, asset recovery, area of sensitization, and also how we can work together. I can remember one of the capacity building we had as we were together with the Attorney General of the state, because I was from them. I was part of them. We ICPC, and then we sat down and look at what are the problem that we need to look at between us ICPC and you Attorney General, because there are a lot of issues around corruption at subnational. And like I said, you cannot, if you want state to have buy-in, you need to bring the ICPC staff and the Attorney General. Why? Because these are people that have the ears of their governors. Because if there are issues around that, they are the one to say, okay, this and that is what we're supposed to do. And also we sat down together, we tell them, look, this is our areas of where we feel you guys are having, we're having issues with you. They also told us, look, you too, these are the areas. So, and there are civil society people around, whereby we had discussion to see, okay, how can we move forward. And also NIPR is another organization that we use in order to see how we can sell our ideas to the public, that they have talked to our people, so that, because this is something that we need to project our image. Because one thing which Nigerians fail to understand is that we don't keep on saying the negative things. We have positive things that we need to project, because if we don't project our own image, nobody will project it for us. So around that area too, there are a lot of capacity building for our people, how they can reach out to the public. And like I said, the asset recovery. This is an area where we have a lot of capacity building within and outside the country. Unfortunately, I am now the chairperson of Africa Asset Recovery Practitioner Forum Steering Committee, whereby all of us and corruption agencies in Africa are coming together as one to ensure that assets, that stolen assets taken outside Africa, most especially in the global north, we track it, we ensure we recover. So we are having a lot of capacity building around that area, because we realize that all of us cannot recover our assets in the global north. And we don't have the capacity. You find out some countries, they have those who are experts, so we say, okay, why can't we come together, train our people, trace our assets. If, let's say, Cameroon has problem in one global north, they cannot trace it, they can say, Nigeria, please help us to recover this asset.
Yes.
Or we can say, Nigeria doesn't have the capacity, because, okay, South Africa. So, or we can come, all of us, to say, we have identified the asset of Cameroon or Burundi or any country in your place, and we as Africans, we want those assets to be repatriated back to our own continent, because we need this money to build our. So there are a lot of capacity building around even that area, and also we continue to do it. Even tomorrow we are going to have one on asset recovery. The head of anti-corruption agency of Sierra Leone is coming to deliver a lecture on that, and also those who are going to take part, there is Acting Director General of Anti-Corruption Agency of Zambia, and also the Deputy Chair of Anti-Corruption Agency of Uganda, because these are all African countries that we need that we sit down among us and civil society, so that we discuss around that area, because that is the area where we Africans should focus.
Okay. All right, Chairman, because of time now, because we're winding up our conversation on this war against corruption, let me just ask Hamza before the Chairman will now give us the final parting words. Looking ahead now, in a few years, 5 to 10 years, what plans or strategies do you think ICPC needs to adopt to sustain these efforts?
I think they should invest more in their public enlightenment campaign, because they're already enjoying goodwill from the Nigerian people. They need to build on that to ensure that they're able to carry on Nigerians along, irrespective of their class. And I think that we need to also learn from our partners and peers across the continent. Nigeria is a leader, not only within the continent but around the world. And if we can sit with other countries, identify their gaps, and also identify the strengths, we can build on that and become that force that unites Africa against corruption, but also help to recover our assets as a country. You know, and truth be told, I'm just worried for my friend. You know, yes, he's courageous and corruption will fight back, we must as a people continue to support him.
Yes.
Because if the
Must other people continue to support
That's
him?
what we're
Party
doing now.
shots,
Yes, yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I think that
yes, what change would you like to see going forward?
the change I would like
In
to
the
see
corruption
going
crusade.
forward is that we need to embrace technology. Because technology will block a lot of things. I can tell you, in September, we recovered 21 billion naira in less than 1 month. Why? Because of technology. So that is why, in my view, we need to focus on technology.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Musa Adamu Aliyu, SAN, Chairman, ICPC. It's been a pleasure hosting you.
Thank you so
on your
much.
first time on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much.
you
I
so much.
appreciate it.
And Hamza Lawal, Chief Executive, Connected Development Code. As usual, it's been a pleasure.
Regular.
Thank you. Thank you so
Regular.
much.
Yes, are regular. So we'll take a break now. When we return, our second topic for discussion will begin. Don't go away.
My champs, they use energy at school.
Your champs need nourishing energy. Give them the new and improved Milo at breakfast.
It has nutrients that support energy release